As you can see, this lady taps the ref during a game. She then proceeds to confront the ref a second time. Parents swoop in, then this happens. Security and police intervene. However, this fits another troubling pattern. Parents thinking their opinions and voices matter over everything and everyone else.
It's not that easy. There's pressure from the coaches, parents, and there's aggravation involved. When they're yelling at kids or yelling at the officials or interrupting the game. If they affect the flow of the game, they've got to be out of the building.
Some local referees spoke with John Muir of Lowhud, an outlet serving Rockland, Westchester, and Putnam counties in the state of New York.
I also noticed that women don't remain officials. They come and they don't continue to officiate. And that is a sad commentary on what happens.
You are going to make mistakes out there, and I always just know as long as I can go home and look in the mirror and think I did the best job I could that day.
Probably the easiest game I ever had was a closed gym. Just me, my partner, two teams, and the cheerleaders. It was beautiful. There was nobody interfering.
KJZZ of Arizona reported in a survey of over 17,000 referees by the National Association of Sports Officials, nearly 85% say they are treated unfairly by parents, and 70% cited abuse from coaches. Todd Surge of the Arizona State Referee Administration weighed in, saying it has a significant impact. The way parents speak to refs, the foul and abusive language, the sexist, racist remarks that they make to these youth. And granted, about 1,000 referees in the state are age 19 or younger. 60% of those who leave officiating say they do so because of verbal abuse. Aaron Finger is the league owner of I9 Sports Phoenix. If I'm a teen and I have a grown adult barking down my throat, I would never want to be in that position again, and I don't blame them. He worries that some sites will have to shut down for the upcoming fall season due to inadequate staffing. If we're struggling to find people, then we're going to have to make some hard decisions, unfortunately, that aren't going to be too favorable with the parents, he said. But at the end of the day, unless they want to step up and be part of the staff, or know somebody and can fill that gap, we have no choice. WXYZ, a local affiliate in Michigan, printed just last month the words of Perry Petterly, who is with the USA Hockey Officiating Program. There's the issue, and everybody's heard of it. It's happening in soccer. It's happened in other sports. The abuse that is coming from coaches, parents, it takes a toll on a young kid, a young lady, or a young man that's out there refereeing. Referees are being subjected to belligerence, the outlet wrote. I've been in rinks and I've had to go up to parents, and it's happened 3 times this year, where you have parents banging on the glass, yelling at the official for a missed call. Yes, again, they're gonna make mistakes, and I go up and I try to educate that parent. Hey, we've got a 13-year-old kid out here, you know? We need him to stay in the program. He says the abuse has become more prevalent in the last 10 years. Veteran referee Brian Bayer agrees and notes of the ref shortage. The smaller punch was COVID. Over the last 2.5 years, we've lost a number of senior referees who felt it was probably a good time to step away. But honestly, the bigger punch is the high amount of verbal abuse, harassment, and sometimes even assault that referees have been experiencing, not just in our area, but across the country. Bayer told Insider just the other day, an adult referee in our league was working a boys U14 game. He told me he wound up having to send the coach off after cautioning him twice. The match ended up having to be abandoned. One of the team's coaches was yelling and swearing because he disagreed with how the ref was calling the match. The kicker is, after the game, while the ref was walking across the field, he had to walk through the spectators to get to his car, and they were verbally abusing and harassing him. Bayer recalls this story as well. A player, after disagreeing with a decision, threatened to go to his car after the game to get his firearm and You see the quote. Again, we had to abandon the match and walk off the field. I have dozens of stories that are less extreme than those, but just as equally valid and pertinent to why so many refs are leaving the sport.